welcome to the Priggya Arora Show, where we discuss entrepreneurship and law with people who have been there and done that. My name is Priggya Arora, an intellectual property lawyer from India, and our guest for today is Mitch Jackson, the Metaverse lawyer. Hi, Mitch. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's good to be here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
Good.
So Mitch, let's start with a warm-up question. So who is your favorite fictional character in the legal field?
In the legal field? Well, I will tell you, there's something special about watching. I'm a trial lawyer, and I've been practicing for 35 years. Watching Tom Cruise cross-examine Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. I got to tell you, every time I see that, it gives me goosebumps. But as the father of a third-year female trial lawyer, and I'm married to a lawyer who I met in law school, we're big fans of the movie Legally Blonde. Wow. So two contrasting versions of what it is to be a lawyer, right?
Awesome. And how do you think that, is this correct, what they show us in the movies and on the television?
Is it what now? Is it what?
Is it real? Like, how would you tell us that? Is it real or not?
What do you think? What do you think? You tell me. What's been your experience? I'll tell you what I get a kick out of is, and I'm sorry, it's 9 in the morning here in Southern California, so I'm still sipping on my coffee and waking up. You know, what's interesting is I get a kick out of something happening on television or in a movie, and within 45 minutes, they're already in a trial, finishing things up. Yeah. So I think from a speed standpoint, it's funny how quickly things happen on television and in the movies. Also, the lawyers on television and in the movies, they're actors. They're repeating a script. Nobody is that good in real life. Correct. Right? And so those are the two things that kind of jump out at me. Just being a first generation lawyer, I didn't grow up around lawyers. Yeah. So it's like, what's it really going to be like? Is it what I'm watching on television? And those are the two takeaways. It's a lot faster on television and nobody's that good in real life.
Yes.
You might be.
No, absolutely. So when we go out for movies with friends, and especially a movie which is related to some lawyer, they'll ask, Priggya, is this real? Do you speak like this in courts? I said, no, not even close.
I know. But you know, we have to give ourselves permission to be ourselves. And I think once we show our human side in the courtroom, that's where juries start to develop rapport and they start to know, like, and trust us. Yeah. And once you give yourself permission where you don't have to speak in clear and concise sentences, it's okay if you use the wrong words every now and then. What's important is the message that you're conveying. Correct. And once I figured that out after my second or third jury trial, everything started clicking and coming together, and it started to become a lot of fun.
Awesome. So Mitch, as we say that the best way to touch a human heart is a story. So would you like to share your story with all of us?
My personal story?
Yeah. How did you become the person you are today?
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I'm gonna share the Reader's Digest or condensed version, but I grew up on a guest ranch in Tucson, Arizona, where people would come from all over the world and play cowboy or cowgirl, ride horses, swim, and just lay out by the pool. And so we had a lot of very well-known famous people come to the ranch, people like Walt Disney, Rock Hudson, who was a movie star, John Wayne. And I watched my mom and dad interact with all of these amazing people. And I thought that's what I wanted to do, was be in the resort industry and hotel industry. A neighbor up the street who I used to do a lot of scuba diving with down in Mexico was an assistant district attorney in Tucson, Arizona. And I used to listen to Fred's trial war stories. And it was fascinating. And I thought to myself, that's something I would really like to do. And so fast forward, that's what I ended up doing. Started my practice here in Southern California with one client, not knowing anybody in town. And if you're familiar with Southern California, we have one of the largest legal bar associations in the country. So there was a lot of competition. Started trying cases immediately and never looked back. And it's really been a very fulfilling and rewarding career. I'm even more excited today about being a lawyer because of the things we're going to be talking about, the Metaverse, Web3, all of the new technology, I'm more excited today about being a lawyer than I ever have been in my life. And you're not going to meet many lawyers that have been practicing 35 years that feel that way. It's
Correct.
actually just the opposite. I'm
Correct.
done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just the opposite. I'm all in. And I hope I have another 30 years or so to really enjoy all the excitement that lays in front of us, both of us.
Great, Mitch. This is so inspiring. Like I always say, being a lawyer, it's our duty to keep learning in life and keep exploring whatever new stuff is coming. And as technology develops, we have to develop our laws and we have to be ready with it. So thank
We
you
really
so much.
do.
Yeah, definitely. So Mitch, as you just shared that you are a first generation lawyer, so I just wanted to ask you that, was it difficult? Do you think that being a first generation lawyer is difficult, and coming from a lawyer family is helpful in this career or not?
I think that for the first 2 weeks of law school, I felt like I was looking around. What are they talking about? What do these words mean? I don't understand what's being discussed. Were friends of mine that were children of lawyers.
Correct.
I could tell they understood the subject matter. And I could tell when they were briefing cases that they knew what they were talking about. And I really felt like, what am I doing here? This is, I should not be in here. Having said that, the same weight that was on their shoulders. You have to be a lawyer and you have to do it this way. And this is the way you open up a practice. This is the way you argue a case. This is the way you represent a client. I wasn't burdened with all of those predisposed, expectations or rules and regulations. And so I think being a first generation lawyer allowed me to kind of approach the practice of law through a different lens and to do things different than everyone else in town. So in a way, it really helped me expedite my career, build my brand, and get some of the results that we are able to get in court, because I try my cases a little bit differently than other lawyers. And I think all of those things happen because I was a first generation lawyer. So I think it just depends on your mindset, and you got to take the tools and own them and make them your own.
Absolutely, so inspiring, because I am also a first generation lawyer, and I do not have a single person in my life that I knew had done law before me. So it was
is it like what you thought it would be like?
So for me, no, it was very different. So I come from an engineering background and I did law after engineering. So as it is for me, it was a completely new field, and seeing people around who know what court is, how jury works, how court works, and I used to feel scared at that time. Oh my God, what will happen? How would I pull up? And as you said that we find our own way, and probably this interesting stuff, this is a little different from what lawyers generally do. So I enjoy doing intellectual property, and I enjoy doing speaking to people.
It's fun. I actually started my practice out of the back of my car and played basketball at Laguna Beach, California, on the sand next to the ocean all day long. Nobody told me, well, you have to spend a lot of money and lease out an office and be that lawyer, which to me didn't make sense. I didn't have any clients. How would I pay for my monthly overhead? I'd rather be playing basketball and networking with the guys on the court. Yes. These were all my first clients, and they're like, Mitch, when you pass the bar, I need a lawyer. When you pass the bar, I'm starting up a new company. And so I started that way, and I shared office space and used my friends' conference rooms to meet with clients. And I was able to start my practice off without a lot of overhead and with a lot of enthusiasm and excitement and a lot of smiles. And that goes a long way, I think, as a lawyer. I think lawyers that figure out, embrace your human side, be a human being first, treat others with respect, tell stories, respect other people's positions. When you do that, people start to like you, people start to believe in you. And if you're standing in front of a jury and they don't want to be there, they don't like lawyers, they want to be home with their families or at work making money. But if they know you're the lawyer in the courtroom who cares and who is being genuine and real and honest with them and really there for the right reasons, they're going to go to bat for you. They're going to go to bat for your client. And so these are all things I think I picked up as a first generation lawyer that I might not have picked up as a second or third generation lawyer. I don't want to generalize, but looking around at all my friends 3 decades later, that's what I've noticed. They did things the traditional way. I did things a completely different way, and I like the end result very, very much. It's been a fun journey.
So, Mitch, I just an incident just came into my mind that when I used to go in the physical courtroom a few years ago, so I think people used to consider me as crazy. She's doing something different. She doesn't know how to handle stuff, like in my initial days of career. So has it happened with you as well? Like you have to behave in a certain way while you are in a courtroom? Absolutely, we have to follow the norms of the court. We are not going against it, but taking the perspective, like, a happy person coming in the courtroom and a rest of the people maybe not so happy, or having a different perspective when a lawyer enters.
Right. No, that's a great question. So I try to be positive, but if it's a serious case, if I'm representing a company where this verdict is going to determine whether or not this company continues to exist, or I'm representing a family who has lost a 16-year-old son in a wrongful death jet skiing accident, I don't bounce into court with a big smile on my face. I'm serious, but I'm professional. I'm kind to opposing counsel. I'm kind to the clerk, to the court staff, and always respectful to the judge. When the jury comes in and out, my client and I will stand, we'll follow the court protocol, and I will be appropriately professional, appropriately entertaining, because it's all about storytelling, regardless of the case, serious case, silly case, boring breach of contract case. It all comes down to the story that we tell. And so I try to make sure that I channel my inner Mitch with the issues and the facts and the evidence and the personalities of the other witnesses and parties in the case, and try to balance all of that. So at the end of the week, or at the end of 2 weeks, the jury has found the experience interesting, rewarding, meaningful, and sometimes even entertaining. And that's kind of the way I approach jury trials. But it's been a challenge. You learn something new every single day, right? This is not, for all the young lawyers listening to this, those first 5 or 10 trials were nerve-wracking. I mean, every time you're sitting on the wrong end of counsel table, or you're saying the wrong thing in front of a jury, or you don't have your paperwork filed the way you thought this judge wanted the paperwork filed, but you learn. You learn from the unexpected results. They're not failures, they're unexpected results. And I think the successful lawyers and business owners and entrepreneurs are the ones that take those unexpected results, they tweak it a little bit, they learn from them, and then they move forward. And I think that applies to being a trial lawyer also.
Awesome. I love the way how you put it, learn from the unexpected results, because we consider them as failures, and probably sometimes we just become so down that, oh my God, we have faced a failure, but it was just an unexpected outcome, and we can probably change that.
We're trying a case in front of 12 people we've never met before. And so there's a lot of risk involved. You don't know where everyone's coming from, whether it's political or from the legal side of things. So there's only so much you can have control over. And I think you need to appreciate that. And it takes the pressure off of you. And if the pressure's off of you, guess what? You can perform in a much more effective and professional fashion, and get the results that your client's looking for. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that's experienced that.
Yeah. So Mitch, you have been a litigator for almost 4 decades now, reaching 4 decades now. So what do you think that you must, like at that point, it was a correct decision to be a litigator, or probably you must have thought that, was it that you wanted to explore something else and you say, no, being a litigator was not that good, I must have explored this. So how are your thoughts in the present day?
Ooh, so if I could go back and do it all over again, I rode and raced motocross for 38 years. You know what motocross is, supercross and motocross. And if I had to do it all over again, I would have pursued a career as a professional motocross racer. I mean, I really would have. I would have gone all in my mid to early 20s and just gotten that out of my system, because now I'm too old to do it. And when I fall and I crash, it hurts. Back then, you just bounce back up, dust the dirt off of your sleeve, and you jump back on your dirt bike. Being a lawyer, being a litigator and trial lawyer, best decision I have ever made. And the reason I became a lawyer was to take on the bullies in the world, was to hold wrongdoers accountable, to equal the playing field between an individual who's been wronged by a large company, for example. Sometimes it's a large company that's been harmed by an individual. But I like having the power to go into court and to right that wrong, to hold companies accountable who put profits over people. I can't think of anything better when it comes to representing families whose equal rights have been violated, or whose freedom of speech here in the United States, has been stepped upon. There's nothing better than being a litigator and trial lawyer. I'm so glad I selected this as my occupation, as my profession, other than being a professional motocross racer.
I know you must have been feeling so satisfied, running through so many litigations and being a trial lawyer. So I can feel that satisfaction when you tell me all this. So thank you so much for that. So now, Mitch, coming to your favorite topic, and the topic which we love listening to from you, the metaverse. So let us now discuss something about metaverse and laws. So yeah, how would you like to start?
Well, I'd like to start. It's funny that's the way you look at me, because it almost takes, and I appreciate that, but it takes the last 34 years of my life. Okay, you did that. Let's put that aside. For the last year of your life, all you've been talking about is the metaverse and Web3. Yes. And that's how we know each other. Correct. I get that, but I'm also embracing that, because I don't think there's anything more exciting, more game-changing, something that's going to change society, our cultures, bring us together as a world. There's nothing that's come along like Web3 and the metaverse. It's going to have a greater impact on our world than the printing press that was invented back in the 1400s. It's going to have a greater impact on our world than the invention of electricity, the invention of the internet. This isn't an app. This is a concept. It's a new technology. And people think of the metaverse as, for example, Facebook or Meta's metaverse, or the Matrix, this virtual world. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is technology that allows us to take, especially in business, our business offices and roll out a division in a virtual world, or maybe what the products and services that we sell in real life, and make those available in a virtual world 24/7 around the world. There are thousands, and there are tens of thousands of companies that are involved in building and supporting metaverse technologies. When I talk about metaverse, I'm not even talking about Facebook. Yes. I'm talking about those other 10,000 companies. Facebook's one of many. Yes, they're putting billions of dollars into it, but it's bigger than Facebook. It's bigger than Meta. And so for me, that's why I'm so excited. I was around before the internet. I was around when a fax machine was the latest technology in a law firm. Okay. So I'm looking at this from a different perspective. I'm the guy that walked into a courtroom with a laptop back in the late 80s. And during the morning break, I was setting it up it was before PowerPoint, but it was going to be a PowerPoint type of presentation during my opening statement. And the judge stopped me. He said, Mitch, Mr. Jackson, what are you doing? And I explained what a laptop was. And what are you going to do with this? And I explained, and the judge said, not in my courtroom. You're not doing that in my courtroom, right? And so fast forward to today, every lawyer's got some type of technology, multiple technical devices in their courtroom trials. Well, I see the same thing happening with the metaverse and virtual reality and Web3, with blockchain, with smart contracts, with you and I being able to be in the same room with each other, or with clients, or in front of an audience of 1,000 in our avatars, where it's your face, your image, AI'd onto an avatar body. I feel like I'm standing in the same room with you. And it's something that's changing everything. So I encourage everyone that hasn't, that's watched this interview up until now, or is listening to us on a podcast, find, grab, get a headset, and definitely spend 10 or 20 hours in the metaverses that we're going to discuss. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to change your perspective on everything. And I think it's going to help position you, especially if you adopt this technology moving forward, to be that only lawyer, professional, business owner in your community that's offering one of many different digital welcome mats into your life. Email, Zoom, phones, snail mail, or a virtual reality office space or shop. That's why I'm so excited about this technology. It's changing everything.
Awesome. So, Mitch, another question that, just popped into my mind. So, we say that people who enter early or who adapt to a technology early become winners and pioneers of that technology. For example, people who invested in Bitcoins early became pioneers of Bitcoin. So, do you think adaptation of Metaverse now is really important and we should not delay it?
I think it's very important. And for those of you who haven't done so yet, you're not late. We are so early in this technology that you may feel that you're behind the ball on this, but you're not. Whether you do it today, next week, or towards the end of the year, start getting comfortable with this type of technology. There is an advantage to being early. It allows you to understand how these platforms work. It allows you to build your brand and have your voice, your professional voice, rise above all the digital noise. There's a downside to being early. The downside to being early is you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to spend a lot of time building out a presence on platforms that may not be around in a year from now.
Yes.
But what you'll learn is the foundation. You'll learn what to do and what not to do. Every social media platform that I build a presence out that's no longer around, I learned from that experience. I learned how to communicate and look at the webcam when I'm speaking. I learned how to use my hands during live videos to add, an additional flavor or layer of communication to what we're saying. Even though those platforms aren't around anymore, it's allowed me to be better and do better with the next platform. I think for early users of the metaverse, you're going to figure out, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to understand how to dress an avatar, how to present in front of a group, and which platforms are good for you and which platforms are not a good fit. Not every platform is a good fit for you or for me. And so I think there's a huge advantage, but grow some thick skin, because you're going to get people criticizing you, pointing fingers at you, calling you out when you make a mistake. And you need to have the personality where, it's okay, because I'm doing something that you're either unwilling to do, you're not smart enough to figure out to do it yourself, or you're afraid to do it. And all three of those things have nothing to do with my life. Life's too short. You got to hit the ground running. You got to embrace these opportunities. And when it comes to Metaverse and Web3, you have to understand that whether we like it or not, this is the future.
Absolutely.
And I want to be driving the car. I don't want to be in the back seat as a passenger. So that's just me.
Absolutely. Mitch, this is so true, because when internet came, I was an early adapter of internet, and there were no computers at that time at our home, and we used to have a big computer to use. So at that point, everybody, like my peers and everybody, they used to say, "Oh my God, what are you doing? What do you keep doing inside your room throughout the day, learning stuff? Are you crazy? Like, how can someone spend so much time on a machine?"
Right.
But now see, everybody is stuck with their screens in front of them, and they are finding a way out.
Or this, right?
Yeah.
Or something like this. And I think what we're going to see is this type of technology, which is wireless. Everything's built in. This is the Oculus Quest 2. This is the device that I'm recommending a lot of people get. It's inexpensive. This is an elite strap. This is an extra $40 head strap that's about 80% more comfortable than the strap that comes with the Oculus Quest. It's also quickly adjustable. Wow. It adjusts very fast. So if you have other people in your company or in your family it's just the way to go. But having said that, what I see happening in the next 3 to 5 years will be similar to you and I just putting on, these are my computer glasses,
Yes.
something like this, and the same experience that we'll get through our Oculus will happen with something like this, okay? And what we learn through our Oculuses or other compatible headsets, we'll be able to use when moving forward with more user-friendly devices. By the way, and this is something a lot of people are surprised of, the Metaverse platforms that I enjoy using, do you mind if I mention the names if anybody wants to try them? Or
yes, definitely.
Okay, because I have no financial interest in any of these companies, but they're the ones that I'm using as a professional, as a lawyer. I think they present the client with a great first impression, beautiful graphics. It doesn't look like you're in a cartoon. It looks like we're in the same room together. Spatial.io, engagevr.io, Horizon Workrooms. These are all platforms that allow you to use your headset if you want to, but you can also use your tablet, your laptop, or your desktop to participate in these platforms and to meet clients, or if you're a client, to meet with a lawyer, a CPA, a doctor. And so I think the platforms that allow the user the opportunity to use whatever device they want to use to participate and enjoy, the benefits of these platforms, I think those are the metaverses or microverses that are setting themselves up for long-term success, at least until everyone is comfortable with something like this, and then it's a no-brainer.
Awesome. I think like this technology will just change the way the businesses work, and probably how we make clients, how we meet people, how we interact with people, and things like that.
But we still need to take care of our physical and emotional health. And, in the book that I'm writing, the reason it hasn't come out yet is because I keep adding new chapters.
Yes.
And I've had a few friends reach out and talk about when you're in the metaverse, time flies by. It's easy to have a couple of hours go by where you haven't had anything to drink. You haven't gotten any exercise. You're ignoring your family members. You're ignoring your teammates at the office. And so I talk about this in one of my chapters, where pay attention to your physical health, pay attention to your emotional and mental well-being, just like you would in the real world.
Yes.
But the metaverse can be so overwhelming in a good way that it's just easier to push those other important needs aside. And so I just wanted to point that out, because I want everyone to be healthy and happy and make this a positive experience.
So, Mitch, like we have addictions. We have so many addictions. Nowadays, people have social media addictions and, screen time addiction, to be always in front of screen. Do you see that Metaverse will reach to that level?
Absolutely. I do. I'm a realist, and I watched Anderson Cooper interview a great show. It's on YouTube. If anyone needs the link, just message me. But he interviewed some really skilled Silicon Valley coders behind some of our larger platforms. And they explained how the algorithm that they're putting together is more addictive than a slot machine in a casino. And those things are pretty darn addicting, especially after you've had a drink or two. And I see the same effort and the same algorithms being built into the metaverse environments. And so you've got corporate America looking at, quarterly and end of year profits, looking at the marketing and advertising play in these platforms. And we're balancing that with the utility and use of these platforms. So the same concerns that have existed, let's just say before the metaverse as we know it, are here now. So I think it's really important as parents to pay attention to what your kids are doing when they enter these virtual worlds. I think from an employee standpoint, I think human resource departments need to update their HR policies to remind employees and team members that when you're in the metaverse, equal rights, employment harassment, sexual harassment in the workplace, all of these things still apply, even though you're an avatar in a virtual world. So for all of the good that will be coming out moving forward, we still have a lot of legal, real world challenges. but I think the good outweighs the bad. And I've always felt that way. And so in the long run, what I see happening is we'll all be able to wrap our digital arms around this technology. And, 90% of the time it'll be used for good.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to watch out for the bad, especially when it comes to, fake avatars, people impersonating other people, digital fraud and digital crime, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency, when it comes to NFTs and things like this. They all work together and they're all playing in the same sandbox.
So, Mitch, as you say, everything is together. So do you think our laws changing, especially the information technology law and the digital laws changing to adapt to Metaverse and Web3?
Not fast enough, but I do feel that traditional intellectual property law, for example, at least here in the United States. Are you located in the United States or?
I am in India.
Okay, I didn't want to mention, okay, so you are in India. Okay, I was trying to respect your privacy, okay? And that's what I'm trying to say is we need to be aware of, just because I'm comfortable doing something, you may not be comfortable doing something. And that applies to the internet, all right, in the metaverse. So what I've noticed is the IP lawyers here in the United States, what we're seeing in a lot of good friends of mine is that the laws and rules and regulations that apply to traditional intellectual property offline apply online. And they apply in the metaverse. They apply in Web3 with NFTs and smart contracts and blockchains, okay? The reality is, though, many, many companies and individuals are not following those laws. And so what we're going to be seeing, for example, the Security and Exchange Commission here in the United States, the SEC, just settled a case with a huge cryptocurrency platform for $100 million. Okay, as far as I know, it's the first and largest SEC securities settlement that took place. And I'm expecting to see a lot more of that happen as early as between now and the end of the year. And I'm also expecting to see, let's just say, NFT drops, NFT promotions that violate what we call the Howey rule here in the United States. It's a 1934 case, which talks about if you're selling something, whether it's currency, whether it's an asset, whether it's crops, in the field or possibly an NFT, it may be deemed a security if 4 issues are checked off the box. And so I'm expecting to see that happen a lot more. So it's traditional IP law that's now being applied in the virtual space. So I think from a perspective of an IP lawyer, that's got to get you excited because I think there's a lot of exciting issues.
So and even if we do not consider metaverse and we see technology as a whole, so being IP laws are so specific to every country. For example, especially I keep taking examples of IoT where devices are placed, probably servers are placed in many different countries. And it's so difficult at the time of infringement to prove where the infringement would happen, in which country it would happen, because of placement of technology and devices throughout the world. So it
interesting.
In metaverse, I think these things will become more difficult to analyze, and
for you and me. But it's going to create a level playing field will be artificial intelligence. There'll be AI platforms and services that will be able to, within seconds, get these answers over to us. I was on a show with Peter Diamandis for the Wall Street Journal, and he's one of our leading scientists, physicians, explorers on the planet. And what Peter was telling me is, he goes, and this is 5 years ago, he goes, Mitch, let me just share this thought with you. In the not too distant future, I'm going to be hiring that AI robot that's won the last 999 cases in a row. Instead of you, right? And the point he was trying to make, by the way, I think I would beat that AI robot, but that's another show for another time. But what he was trying to say is everything he just said comes down to data and figuring out and putting this data together. And as AI gets better, I think lawyers will be able to tap into AI technologies without the metaverse or within the metaverse and get the answers to these questions. So you can run, but you can't hide. Eventually, everything will be on the blockchain.
Yes.
And if it's on the blockchain, what that means, everyone, is that it's open to public scrutiny. We can all, if you know how to do it, see who's doing what, how many times, spending how much money in what different locations because of the blockchain. So I think that these are the trends that I'm seeing as a lawyer. And I think lawyers that get familiar with these trends and start learning how these trends work and start associating themselves like I am with you right now. I feel like I now have a lawyer in India who knows IP, so that if I have a question on your side of the world, I can ping you on LinkedIn and we can have a 10-minute conversation. And I hope you know I'm always here for you too.
Yes, definitely.
In Southern California. So this is the way things are progressing. When I started practicing law, this would never happen.
Yeah.
I'd have to fly to India, right? And it's expensive. You're away from your family. You're not handling your files because you're on the other side of the world. So this is what I'm trying to say is as soon as we wrap our minds around how we can use this technology to help others and to make the world a better place, it's like, oh my goodness, I get so excited about this stuff. I'm going to have to tighten my seatbelt here because I get all worked up about this stuff.
So, I keep saying the best time to start business is now because it's so easy. We can network so easily. We can get to know people so easily. And I think not too long ago, we used to travel around the world to get even one single client. It was, I think, hardly 2-3 years ago before. I think COVID has made it so easier for all of us to interact. So there are some good side of pandemic as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know what else though is it's interesting because COVID has also created a new consumer expectation.
Correct.
The consumers, as you well know, but people don't think about this. They're okay with us communicating on a Zoom or in a metaverse space now.
Yes.
They're okay with us doing everything we want to do from our phones, so they don't have to travel.
Yes.
They can social distance. They can stay. People like to be home in their pajamas.
Yes.
And if they can buy our products and services and meet with us as lawyers while they're home on their couch in their pajama, and everybody's okay with that, including the judge, including opposing counsel, that's the way the human mind works. And so I think this is this is the coming together of many different things because of the pandemic. Technology with 5G. A lot of what we're doing was never possible before because we didn't have 5G. A lot of what we're doing now wasn't possible before because the consumer and the professional weren't comfortable with doing this. When COVID hit, I was getting phone calls from other lawyers. Mitch, what's this Zoom thing? Is this like a phone call on the internet? Right? And before COVID, the legal sector was the legal industry was at the bottom of 17 major technology sectors. 2 years later, we're at the top or towards the top of all 17 sectors. And so it was a little kick in the pants to get everybody on board that there's a new way of doing business, a new way of living our lives, and a new way of jumping on shows with new friends on the other side of the world, right? Yes. Where I do feel like we're connecting and I do feel like we had a meaningful conversation. And if we took this, and I'm challenging you right now, I would love to do this again in 6 months or a year in one of our virtual office spaces. I want you to have something like this, okay?
Perfect.
And we'll broadcast to the world live from within the metaverse. And I think you'll agree with me that it'll be a very, very realistic, almost professionally intimate type of interaction. It's like we're sitting across the table from each other having a conversation. So when you're ready to do that, I want you to message me and we'll put a show together and we'll share it with the world. Okay.
So Mitch, what I'm doing right now is probably I'll set up a date in my calendar 6 months from now so that I get a reminder that I have to do a show with you on Metaverse, and I am going to reach out to you again with this clip and an invitation. So
I want you to, and if you don't, I'll reach out to you.
Definitely. So thank you so much. And now coming back to you, I know we are short of time, so I want to quickly do a rapid fire round with you. So
we have 5 or 10 minutes, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. So 3 things you are grateful for.
Ooh, I am grateful for my health, because without my health, I don't think I could be the type of father and husband that I hopefully am to my family. So that's number two. I'm grateful for my family. And number three, I'm grateful for the way I grew up. And although I didn't grow up in a family that had a lot of money, I grew up with a family that had a lot, that was exposed to a lot of opportunities. And so I those are the three things: my health, my family, and the way I grew up. I think it really helped define who I am as an individual.
Awesome. And now two traits you think are useful for anyone in the legal career.
To do what now?
Two traits or habits.
Oh, I would say develop the habit of not taking everything so personal.
Wow.
Okay. When things happen, someone else might be having a bad day and they're taking it out on you.
Yes.
When things happen, maybe it's because of a judge or a jury that it's beyond your control. So I would say, number one, don't take things so darn personally. Number two, don't be afraid. And a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this. Don't be afraid to outwork and out hustle the other side.
Yeah.
You can do it in a smart way. That doesn't mean killing yourself in your job or your profession, but it may mean getting up earlier than everyone else and going to bed later than everyone else to learn about the metaverse, to learn about Web3, to learn how to use Zoom, to learn how to build a virtual office space. And don't be afraid to put in the time. There's no such thing as overnight success. When I try a case and young trial lawyers watch me in a closing argument, how did you know how to push that issue? How did you know that juror was going to be the jury foreperson controlling the conversation back in the room, which, it's just an educated guess. And I'll tell them, there's no pill, there's no app. It came from 20 years of doing this, 25 or 30 years of doing this. So put in the time and put in the effort. Great question.
And now the last
I want
one.
more like that. Those are good questions. This is fun.
One aspiration you have for the future.
Ooh, you know what? My aspirations right now, and it's kind of a shameless plug, but right now I'm all about making sure my kids, my two adult children, have all the opportunities that, let's just say, they've worked so hard for. Both of my kids worked hard in school, good grades, good human beings. My daughter's a third-year lawyer at Shepherd Mullen in Century City. She enjoys practicing law for a big firm. My son's in his last semester at the University of Southern California Marshall School of Business. And 2 weeks ago, Garrett and I started a Metaverse and Web3 consulting company. And it's called Maneuver, Maneuver. And what we're doing is we're helping traditional companies maneuver or transition into the metaverse. And so what I want to see happen is I want to see my daughter continue to enjoy the practice of law. And when things open back up, get into court and start trying cases, because she's going to be very, very good. She's 27 and I've never won an argument with her since day one. So she's very, very good. I want to see with my son, because he and his friends are excited about what you and I are talking about. And I want to see him take this new company and turn it into a global dominant agency and media company, like I know he's going to. And I'm going to be there for him and help him every step of the way if he wants me to. So that's what I'd like to see moving forward. It's not about me. It's not about Lisa. It's about the kids.
Awesome. Just so inspiring.
How about you? How about you moving forward? What's your biggest aspiration?
My biggest aspiration. So I know, I don't know how to put it. People these days are not happy.
Right.
So, especially lawyers, because I am in lawyer community. So I would, like, from the bottom of my heart, I want to spread happiness in lives of people. And I want people who are in not so good jobs and, struggling and hustling and they feel like this is the way the life is. And we can't do anything about it. I just want them to come out from their shells and try something new, something fun, maybe legal entrepreneurship, maybe something else. So I'm a full-time IP lawyer and I do this stuff just because of the interest I have. And I feel happy about it.
Me too. I mean, I love interviewing people that have nothing to do with the legal industry, but they're disrupting industries. They're creating positive global change, and I love just meeting them.
Yes.
I love meeting you. This has just been so much fun, and I'm here for you. If there's anything I can do to help promote what you want to have happen, to share different fun ways that people can get out of a rut and maybe give themselves permission to have a little bit of confidence to take that next step. Books like Think and Grow Rich, books like, there's so many good books out there outside of the legal sectors that I think we can all read and learn from to be better human beings. So let's continue to work together and make the world a better place. I would love to do that.
Thank you so much, Mitch. And now, to conclude, I would like to ask you that what are the key takeaways that you want to give to our audience as a whole?
Ooh, my key takeaways would be, once I learned the mindset, and once I learned that the more you give, the more value you add to other people, the brighter the light that you shine on other people without any expectation in return of getting something back in return. Once I learned that, life became more enjoyable, practicing law became more enjoyable, and frankly, the limited success that I've experienced over the years, it became easier and easier. Once you make it about other people and you stop making it about you, I think that's when the magic happens. And it's a dance. It's a slow dance. You learn how to do it. But I think once I figured that out, everything came together and I became a happier human being. And if you're a happy and healthy human being, guess what? You can help more people and you can do what you want to do. So
it's so true. And thank you so much for sharing that. If we throw light on other people, what generally happens is those people throw light on us back. So
it happens.
Yeah, it's natural. Like, if you help me, I would love to help you, and I'll die to help you. So it's like, the more number of people you help, the more number of people are there to cheer you up when you are down. So I think that is really, really important. So thank you so much, Mitch, for your time and for being on the show. I just love the conversation we had.
That makes two of us. It was my pleasure. And I do want to do this again with you in the metaverse. Reach out, let's stay in touch. In between, and the next time we chat, enjoy the journey and never stop making each day your masterpiece. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey there. Thank you for attending today's session. If you enjoyed today's session, do follow our channel and consider sharing it with a friend. My name is Priggya Arora, daughter of inspiring parents, alumna of IIT Kharagpur, engineer turned lawyer and entrepreneur, and now founder of PA Legal, where we help creators and innovators protect their intellectual property. Thank you.